And what about Nar Hayiti Vagam Zakanti? V'lo Iti Tzadik Ne'ezav V'zaro Mevakesh Lachem. I think that's the Nikud there. Lechem. Which of course is a example of being in trouble. So essentially, I've been young and now I'm old, and I've never seen a righteous person or his descendants in serious trouble. But we have, haven't we? As I said, I'm recording this in the evening that begins. We've begun here in Israel. This evening will continue into tomorrow, till tomorrow evening, Yom HaShoah. And here, the Midrash that we already saw amongst our 18 pages, is this true, or how can this be true? I'm bringing it again in the context of Hashgacha, the question of Hashgacha, which ultimately comes back to the question of the reality we call the divine. Everything, and really everything, prayer is all connected to, inextricably and so centrally, in such a key way, to our notions, our experiences, understandings relative to Hashgacha and the character of the divine in relation to that. So I brought you, here's the Midrashic take, this negotiation that goes on. You see, I mentioned Harry Wolfson before. He says that, and I've applied it even beyond to all of Midrash, to all of rabbinic interpretation. He says the formula is yes, but. Isn't that fantastic? Yes, but. Yes, of course, this or that element in the tradition is true. But it's to be understood in the following way. It is true when understood, when experienced in the following way. Yes, but. It's really something. And our Midrash from Vayikra Rabba, Parasha B'chukotai, is like this. Af al pi. Yes? Remember? See that? Af al pi. Zaro uvanav hem mevakshim lechem. Lo ra'iti lo tot tzaddik avihem. Ne'ezav miyirato shel hakadosh baruch hu. This is fantastic. Yes. Af al pi. Shezaro uvanav hem mevakshim lechem. Lo ra'iti Lo tot tzaddik avihem ne'ezav niyirato shel hakadosh baruch hu. So what's going on here? Again, same thing. There's a probing of, well, what do you mean by a miracle occurs here? Yes, our cartoon. You have to be more explicit. You have to negotiate between the teachings of that we encounter in our sacred texts, on the one hand, and our experience, our life experience on the other. And if there's a terrible contradiction, then one must negotiate between the two, so that there won't be a contradiction. Remember from the Passover Seder scene, from Woody Allen's movie Crimes and Misdemeanors, the sister of, the gentleman leading the Seder. Says, is that the nonsense? Do you fill the heads of your students? Is that what the nonsense? You tell that nonsense to your students? And remember that you see some of the young people there are interested. They say, I think this is interesting. Sure, because they're not accustomed to hearing in their Jewish educational contexts the real questions being addressed as to what religious language can mean in a way that speaks to the realities, the big questions that any human being wrestles with, rejoices over, and suffers from. So how did I translate? Even though, Afal even though his descendants and his own children, and in this sense, he himself, and clearly the context is, may be seeking bread, may be, in other words, in trouble. I have never seen that same righteous person, their father, forsaken Ne'ezav by the sense, by the consciousness, by the awareness of the awesome presence of the Holy One, may he be blessed, of the sacred, may it be movingly acknowledged. So in other words, what's being said here runs against the conventional sense, conventional understanding of Psalm 37, of this line, Nara Hayiti V'gam Zakanti V'lo Hayiti Tzadik Ne'ezav. That's the motive behind. That's what's driving this midrash, this gap, this contradiction between experience and this sacred text, or what it says, what it seems to say. So again, the rabbis are not just engaged in commentary; they're not just engaged in explaining the text. They are in bold dialogue with the sacred texts. They are partners in revelation, as they are in redemption and creation. You say, wait, creation already happened. No, it didn't happen only in the past. And creation, drama isn't about the creation, the physical creation of the world. Scientists tell us about that. It's a great, wonderful poem about new beginnings, the possibilities of surprise. It's about distinction making in the world, that's when meaning comes into play. And much more. It's about spiritual truths, ethical, psychological, philosophical truths. So the Midrash says, no, even though the righteous person often and his descendants are in trouble, he won't be forsaken by the awareness that he is accompanied, that he is allied with, but not in the sense that with the divine, but not in the sense that the divine, signs up as our allies. We are the allies of the divine. The divine isn't really our allies in a certain sense, a very important sense. As Abraham Lincoln said, we shouldn't be going around praying or thinking, wanting, saying that God be with us. We should be praying and thinking and saying and striving that we should be with God. Not that God should do our will, that we should do God, but rather that we should do, there's the word Ella, Aleph, Lamed Aleph, but rather that we should do its will. What about this, the Midrash in Kohelet Rabba, Re'eh et Maaseh Elokim, ki mi yuchal l'taken et asher ifto. Re'eh. Yes. See the acts of the divine. Who can come and fix them after they have been distorted, violated, corrupted? This is from Kohelet, book of Ecclesiastes. And then there's this midrash and this interpretation in Kohelet Rabba, in the amplified Ecclesiastes. Amplified because we added ourselves to it to make it our own. B'sha'ah shebara hakadosh baruch hu. Yes. B'sha'ah shebara hakadosh baruch hu et adam harishon. Not low. Yeah. Not low. V'hichziro al kol ilanei gan Eden. V'amarlo re'ei ma'asai kama na'im u'meshubachim mehem. V'chol ma shebarati bishvilcha barati. Ten da'atcha shelo tikolkel v'tachriv et olami. She'im kilkalta ein mi sheyitaken acharecha. Ein mi sheyitaken acharecha. It's fantastic. The divine takes Adam Rishon. I always add and Chava, Adam and Eve, and takes them for a little tiul around the Garden of Eden. And says, "Isn't this tree beautiful? Isn't that gorgeous?" Then he says, "He, the divine, she, it says to us, we are Adam. Adam is we. Don't ruin it. Take care of these beautiful trees of this beautiful world. Because if you mess it up, no one will come after you to correct it." Sounds crazy. That's a religious text. Isn't religion all about, the divine will guarantee, the divine has a plan for the human beings. Yes, the divine has a plan, but human beings have to sign on to it. As Martin Buber says, the divine gives us commandments and then looks to see, waits to see, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to respond? Are we going to adequately respond to the love involved in giving us commandments? Most people wouldn't find commandments an act of love, but making trouble for us. What about this one? Yes. Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'malachei hasharet. The divine says to his entourage, the ministering angels, so-called messengers, Bo v'nei lech aniva atem lebeiti. They're hanging around a nice day. And the divine says, all right, let's take a little trip, not to the mall, but lebeiti, to my house, to the temple. V'nireh ma'asu oivim bo. And let us see if it's still okay, or if enemies have done what they will to it. Miyad halach HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'malachei hasharet v'yirmiyahu l'fanav. So right away, they acted upon the intention It's a good thing to do if there's an intention, plan, act upon it as soon as possible. So they act upon it. The divine, the sacred, may it be blessed, and the ministering angels, its entourage of messengers, and Jeremiah before them. V'kevan shera'a hakadosh baruch hu et Beit HaMikdash, and once they approached close enough that they could see the temple, Beit HaMikdash, Amar bevadai zehu beiti v'zoi menuchati shaba'u oivim v'asubo kiratzonam. He says, this must be my house, to which enemies have come, my house and my place of repose, my place of serene, peaceful menucha, serene, peaceful residing, peaceful, calm condition. To which Shabao Oivim Vasu Bo Kirtzonam, concerning which, in relation to which, enemies have come and done as they want to my house, to the temple. B'ota sha'ah hayah kadosh baruch hu bocheh. V'tzoek. In that very moment, in that very time, the divine cried and screamed, out, Oy li al beiti, banai hechan atem, kohanai v'levi'ai hechan atem, ma eselachem, kama pa'amim hitreti b'chem v'lo chazartem b'tshuva. He cries and he screams out, Oi, concerning my house, my children, where are you? My Kohanim, my Levi'im, where are you? What can I possibly do for you when I have many a time repeatedly warned you? Another version has sent you prophets, sent you the warnings, but you didn't make amends. You didn't confront yourself and what was wrong-headed in your lives, bad directions, and change them. So what can I do? You see, it's like the interpretation in Kohelet Rabba. Don't ruin the beautiful trees and the beauty of the garden, because no one will come and fix it after you. Won't God guarantee it? And the second one is even more. God is surprised by what happens. He knew about the enemies. But to this extent, the destruction. To this extent. So the divine doesn't intervene, can't intervene by its own definitions, and by its not really being a human being as such. It's different. So the divine empathizes with us, not intervenes to save us. Can't save us from ourselves. No one can save us. No one can save you or someone else if they're just so determined to make a mess of things. That's how it is.